Hey guys, welcome back. Let's get started with the futures and then we'll go to some of the plays for this week. So this is the bear version, right? And you can see if I actually draw the fib retracement, from the top of this to the bottom of this, you can see that we actually rejected exactly at the 1.618 fib. And what's interesting about this was the trend line, that's previously acted as support, and we finally broke down, had this massive dump, and we went to retest it. So, it's pretty normal when you see a trend line, right? When you see a trend line break for price to go retest it, that's just in general, price action tends to do that. So this is honestly a pretty perfect point, for wave B, this was wave A, and for wave B to kind of end before we have, the next leg down. So this is, the bear version. I just wanted to touch on a few points on why, the where we rejected was kind of interesting, because it's also, if you see, I drew the top of this to the bottom of this, you can see we retraced exactly to the 382 fib, right? That's just, if I reverse this, you can see that was the 618 fib, which we know is the golden ratio. So there were a lot of interesting confluences here, and this rejection, which is why I tend to think, this bear version could honestly be the one that's playing out, right? And if the bear version plays out, then our first target would be 4049. And if that breaks 3865, right? So those are your bear targets, right? As usual, the bull, honestly, even in the bull, I would still, this was, the area we consolidated, right? Why were we bullish? Because we held this area, but then this trend line here proved to be resistance, and as soon as we hit the trend line, we started selling off, right? Right now, you can see that we did come back to retest this trend line, and we are holding this trend line. So we don't necessarily have to sell off, right? If we can get over the high at 4527, then the market certainly, has room to, push higher. This is the next important 4742. I'd say 4666 is an important area of resistance, right? If that breaks, then 4742. If we tend to reject there, then I will have to stick with the short-term bull, where again we have a leg of sell-off, right? But if we can get over this high at 4742, then we're definitely, on track to hit new all-time highs. Again, we're pretty far away from that. Bulls have to prove themselves. So for now, let's, stick to our short-term bull, and this is our bear. I am, again, if you look at my place for the week, you can see that I am leaning towards this bear version, as I mentioned, right, where we rejected the 618 fib and the B wave. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm, thinking that this is more a B wave than it is a wave 3 or wave 4, and we push higher for that, wave 5. So that's kind of my reasoning why I'm leaning towards the bear version. So let's go through some of the plays, right, based on this. So the first play I picked was Futu, right? I am bearish on Futu because I think China plays are not done selling off. I personally thought that China plays would, tend to bottom, but then I realized this was a 3 and a 4. So they have one more leg, to the downside before they officially bottom. So you have to kind of change your views in the stock market. You can't only think that the first assumption you make is right? You have to do more research, see if there's evidences to support your theory. So you can see they've just been sideways, right? So I'm still not wrong, but I personally think that I have to change, flip and think that China players are still not done selling off. I personally think they have one more leg to the downside before they officially bottom, right? This is my chart for KVEB. You can see I have the same thing here, right? This for me was a 3. We moved up for a 4, right? And then I think we have one more wave, right? You can see this was in a bigger 3-4. Let me remove all these minor waves. There's just too much disturbance on here, right? This for me personally, this was a 1-2, this was a 3, this was a 4. We have one more, leg to the downside. I think KVEB 31.30, right? 28. That's where I think it's going to find, which means Fuji certainly has, room to the downside. So I said that if, below 40.6, I'd like, for this, support to break, kind of prove that this is not like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. So I have Fuji puts below 40.6, right? And my targets are 36.30. Give it 4 to 5 weeks, right? Futu is a pretty volatile stock too, so it can certainly happen a lot faster. So that was my first play, right? I'm bearish on Futu. I think it's going to sell off. Again, my next one is Novavax. Novavax, I've been bearish since, 220. It literally died 50%. But I still think, right? I still think it's got more room to the downside, which is why I still have it on there. I don't think, this is basically the high that Novavax is going to make. Like, I don't think it's ever going to go back to that high. Again, they can probably find a new drug. That's going to take a while. I think it's definitely headed to the 30s right before it even finds some kind of reversal. So anyway, I have Novavax, right? Puts below 86, right? Once it breaks 86, my targets are 75.60. Give it 3 to 4 weeks, right? I personally think so. Even if Novavax were to push a little higher, I still have the same chart, right? In this range, right? I'll put it this way: if Novavax cannot break 83, right, and sell off, it will, make a high over 98. Let's say it probably goes to 100 before it comes down, right? But if it breaks 86, 83, then it probably plays out this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So be prepared for both, right? I'm not saying Novavax will sell off immediately. I'm saying it can, push to 102 before it comes down all the way to 50. Or if it breaks this low at 86, 83, then it will sell off. So just watch out for levels, right? Depending on which way it flips, you can play that direction. So I am bearish on Novavax, right? My chart is bearish. As long as you have 1 to 2 months of time, then even if you buy puts here and it pushes to 100 before it sells off, you're perfectly fine, right? But if you want to get a really good entry, then you'd rather wait for it to break the support and then sell off, right? Then you can play the move to the downside. Or, you can just place short-term calls at 102 and then pick it. Again, that's if it can get over 93, then I think it has room to 102, but I doubt it, right? Right now it's in the middle of both. It's at 88. I personally think it's going to sell off, but let's see. That's kind of why I'm Novavax puts, right? So that's the next one is Tesla. So Tesla did a really good trade on earnings, right? So now again, we're back. We sold off, right? We used this 1.212 fib as support. We bounced off of it. So again, here we are, right? I personally think that you can see that even if I were to draw a trend line like this, right? You can see that Tesla did break over this trend line, but we know a lot of the times that stocks tend to have a fake breakout. And if the indexes were, let's go back to our chart of ES, right? If the indexes were to move down like this, then Tesla certainly would, kind of follow through. So I will be keeping a close eye on the market as a whole to give me clues on how, Tesla is going to progress further. But I personally think this is going to be a fake breakout and Tesla's, going to sell off to 700. It's like, that's my bet, right? I think below 920, my targets are 844, 770, give it 6 to 8 weeks, right? 944, again, 944 is a really important pivot on Tesla. If, let's say, Tesla breaks, right, this 944, then I think over 944, this can be a solid breakout. And Tesla certainly has room to 1,001,100. So again, if it were to break 944, you can certainly play calls to the upside, right? It has a lot of room to the upside. But again, right now it's looking more like a fake breakout. My money is that it's going to sell off. But again, be like water. Don't stick to an opinion. If it does move pivots, then you have to flip to calls. But if it breaks this, 920 and 870, then if it fake breaks out, then it's going to have a massive sell-off. So don't be a bull or bear, right? Just trade like a wolf. That's the motto. Anyway, so that's why I have Tesla puts on there, right? Again, I gave you guys the bull and bear levels, right? Over 944, it's bullish. Below 920, 870, it's very, very bearish. So this is what I got for Tesla. Again, AMD. So again, this is a 50-50 chance it's actually going to play out, right? Because if this bull version for the market plays out, then every other stock like AMD, NVIDIA, Google, they're all going to go make those fifth waves to the upside, right? In that case, you can play calls on all these stocks. But I only have calls on here because I don't want to be too bearish, right? As I mentioned, you have to be like water, flip both sides. But I just want to give it, right, in case people just want to, kind of follow these plays, then at least there are a few bull plays in there, right, for you to take advantage if the market flips bullish. But anyway, I just want to make you understand that if the market does sell off the way I have this bear version to be pictured, then be very, very careful trading AMD, right? I would not be bullish like this B wave ends here on AMD, and then we have a massive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sell off on AMD, right? So be very careful. It can certainly, again, just because the market is selling off doesn't mean AMD has to sell off, right? It can certainly play out this fifth wave, right? Go retest. You can see this is the channel AMD, and it can certainly go to the top of the channel before it sells off, right? Personally, I'd wait for confirmation. I'd wait for it to break like 125, 126, right? If it does that, then I think it stands a chance of hitting the top of the channel, 137, 140. But again, be very careful, right? All depends on what the market as a whole does, and then the relative strength of the stock. There are a lot of factors that come into play, but anyway, I think it has this room, right? I just don't. This looks more like a wave 4 to me, which is why I think it could have a wave 5 to the upside, but that doesn't mean I don't think it can sell off. The whole market falls apart, right? But anyway, I just wanted to put AMD on there since it's back into this channel and it's just stuck in the middle of nowhere, so it certainly has empty space to move to the upside. Anyway, the next one I have is gold. So I am pretty bullish on gold and silver. Again, bullish in the short term. I don't think it's going to go make a new all-time high, but I do think it will go higher for that B wave, right? The high of gold was GLD was 195, and I think my B wave, you can see this is where it previously had resistance as well. So I'm 184 is the area I'm targeting, and this kind of matches the assumption that people could go into gold if the market kind of starts to sell off. So I think over, what did I say, over 170, right now it's a 168, 170 would break the 618 fib. You can see this is the area that's been acting as resistance. As well, over 170 it can certainly go to 175 and 184. So I am bullish on gold. I do think it will move to the upside. It has been moving sideways, so if you are to play gold, you have to buy lots of time because it can just go sideways before it moves higher. So that is certainly a risk you have to be willing to take, but I am bullish on gold, so that's why I have gold calls. Again, I'm bearish on XPEV. Again, we had beautiful trades on XPEV 3 weeks in a row, right? And now it's bounced up for that wave 4, which is why I think, again, it's a good entry for puts as a whole, right? This was the oversold bounce we were looking for. So which is why I think, XPEV below 37 is good for 34 and 30, give it 3 to 4 weeks. That's why I kind of have puts on XPEV. It's the same chart, right? We've been following. That's the reason I, if there is nothing wrong with the chart, then, we can just follow through with it. Again, hard stop at 37, 34, right? If this high breaks, then I'm going to have to revalidate this chart. But for now, as long as it stays below this level, I think it will sell off. So that's kind of why I have puts on XPEV. Now let's look at Visa. Visa is the other stock that I think will sell off. It did have good earnings, but I personally think that was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, the only other change to this I would make is like, this is my wave 4, this is your wave 3, and it finds rejection close to 240 rate. That's the only change I will make to it. I'm sticking with the fact that Visa, MasterCard, all of those stocks are just making wave Bs before they sell off, right? That's why I have Visa puts below 226. If this is a wave 4, then it will not break this low at 226. It will make this wave 5 at 240 before it sells off. So you could, just kind of set your alerts here to get into puts, right? Or if it breaks this low at 226, then this is where wave B kind of ended, and then you can play the downside. So this is kind of what I got for Visa. I'm certainly 3-4 months out. Visa is one of the stocks that I think is going to get shorted. It did, right? It did break this trend line. You can see that it did have the breakout, but I'm standing on the side that it will follow the rest of the market. So let's see what happens, right? All right, the last one is SLV. As I mentioned, I'm bullish on gold and silver, and this has kind of been my chart for SLV for a while, right? And it's just been sideways, 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 sideways. So this, I do think this $20 area will hold, right? It's been holding for almost 2 years, right? And I think we will move to the upside. But again, you can see this massive gap here, right? So as long as it breaks 21, right, on SLV, my targets are 23, 25, give it 4 to 6 weeks, right? But again, hard stops, right? If it breaks this low, then it will gap fill to 1860. So yeah, I am bullish, but I just, there is volume coming in, but it's just kind of been sideways. Buyers have kind of, been hesitant to come into the gold and silver markets, but I think it's time for them to start moving. So let's see how that goes. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next week. Hope you have a great week.